People ask me what kind of music I write, and I have to say, I have no idea how to answer that. I hope my own.
The final concert of Lyric Fest's recently completed season was entitled, "I'll Make Me a World." Kile Smith wrote an astonishingly moving and beautiful piece that invited audience participation.
And I'm Artistic Director of Lyric Fest and a big fan of Kile Smith.
I'm Suzanne Duplantis. I'm another Artistic Director of Lyric Fest and another big fan of Kile Smith.
We knew from the music he had already written that Kile had something to say, and we knew he possessed the desire and the ability to reach people with the music he composed. This quality, together with a keen musical integrity, his lack of pretense, his great sense of humor, all this would make him ideal for us, for all the various projects we had in store for the season.
Presser Foundation announced its 75th anniversary initiative. What they were offering was a grant for something outside of what we would normally do. Why don't we try to get a composer in residence and have Kile compose for the entire season? We got the grant, and he composed for 3 of our 4 concerts.
Lyric Fest's first concert was Vienna, City of Song. Kile was a narrator, but wrote no music for this one. The second concert was about a certain well-known English playwright.
This season we honored Shakespeare's 450th birthday with a concert, Much Ado About Shakespeare. Kile composed a terrific, energized finale called Mark the Music. In the first rehearsal with the trio of singers, all 3 commented on the pleasure of singing Kile's music. They feel that he really knows the human voice.
He wanted to write what he thought of as an operatic finale. And so the words he chose from The Merchant of Venice: "The man that hath no music in himself, nor is not moved with the concord of sweet sounds, is fit for treasons, stratagems, and spoils. Let no such man be trusted. Mark the music."
Let no such man be trusted. Let no such man be trusted. Let no such man be trusted.
was because of the third concert that Kyle got his composer-in-residence gig in the first place. Laura Ward called it the season's
centerpiece.
In this Blue Room is a 45-minute, 17-song song cycle commissioned by LyricFest on poems of Julia Blumenreich, Susan Fleshman, Siobhan Lyons, and Donna Wolf-Palacio, which are based on the batik artwork of Laura Pritchard.
I went to Laura Pritchard's exhibition, Waxing Poetic. She's a dear friend, and I'm a real fan of her work. I saw her batik paintings, and I heard the poets read the poems. I said to her, we are going to set these poems to music. And I mentioned it to Cindy Jarvis, who's minister at Chestnut Hill Presbyterian. Cindy said, Kyle should set the Waxing Poetic poems. We at Lyric Fest have been talking of several composers setting these poems, and as soon as she said it, I knew she was right. Lyric Fest had commissioned Kyle earlier for a piece. Suzanne was soloist along with the Pennsylvania Girl Choir. I had performed a piece of his, poems of Stephen Berg, for soprano, clarinet, and piano, which were very jazzy. So, I'm familiar with his jazzy style, and I'm familiar with what he does with choir.
He took these poems, a lot of which were lighthearted, some of them fun, some of them went a little deeper, but he brought a dimension that was even deeper that I didn't see. When the poetry came together with the music and with the art, our project became so much more important to me, anyway, and I think to the audience, too.
I'm Louise Evans. I was blown away by the beauty, the creativity. It was just a wonderful, wonderful program.
And I'm Harold Evans, and I don't know what else to say except that indeed it was a phenomenal program, from Laura to Suzanne, Laura who had the idea, Kyle, the execution was, unbelievable.
A wonderful performance. It was really different with all the poetics and a little bit of staging. It was great. It was so fantastic.
I'm Julia Blumenreich, and I was fortunate enough to get to write poems to Laura Pritchard's work. We had a wonderful reading and a show of Laura's work, but now this extra artistic inspiration has happened with Kyle composing music. It's a terrific merging of all different kinds of art forms and people that are inspired by each other, so that's the best thing. I wrote one of the poems to Laura's paintings. To combine these things, it was really an exquisite experience. I didn't know what it would sound like. It was very beautiful. It made me feel like something had come together.
It premiered March 13th and 15th, 2015, with mezzo-soprano Suzanne Duplantis, baritone Daniel Teat, and pianist Laura Ward. Jazz, blues, pop standards, and vocalese a la Lambert Henderson Ross hover all around in this blue room. The color blue suffuses the paintings and the poetry. That and the syntax of the poems all suggested that a jazz sound world might be an appropriate approach. Watermelon Eyes jumped out at me first and became the piece for me. I heard a woman's low voice like Sarah Vaughan's singing those words, scooching and dragging into each note. I heard lazy triplets. It was swing rhythm, 3 notes in the time of 2, that is. And that's when I decided that the whole cycle would come out of jazz, swing, and blues. When I started composing Watermelon Eyes, I began it with these trotting bass notes, like someone walking through a gallery looking at the paintings. Since 2 poems were based on the one painting, 56 is the title, I combined them into a duet, like Lost Beads and Watermelon Eyes, with the idea that it could serve as duet, as mezzo solo, and baritone solo.
I'm Fred Barfoot. I'm a follower of Laura Ward and Suzanne Duplantis from the beginning.
Well, I was fascinated. I've never seen a show combining those arts together before.
Looking at these paintings, listening to the music and the poetry, I realized that in the 11th grade at a little school in Mississippi, I studied art. And I'm going to go home and look at all those paintings and write poems about them.
So you really were inspired by the show?
I was. Yep.
Laura and Suzanne were so happy that they had this collaborative experience with Kyle. It exceeded by far all their expectations.
For this partnership, we didn't even know what to hope for. We just really hoped for some good music. In fact, what we got was some great music, great variety. The pieces worked not only in each musical setting, but we really feel the music has legs. People will want to hear it again. People want to sing it again. In all likelihood, it's going to be performed over and over again.
You put a note down on the paper, and if it's a wrong note, you move it up or you move it down until it's right. The best thing is to get something down as quickly as you can and then move it around until it's right. But what happens is you'll say, yeah, this is good, and then you move on to the next. If it's using a poem, you move on to the next phrase. Then the next phrase kind of takes a turn or goes into left field somehow. Then you find that the first thing you had written actually is not the right thing. You thought it was, but it's not anymore. So what happens is the piece is actually telling you what it wants to be. You keep hammering away at it, but in the back, the piece is always whispering to you, if you're open to it, if you're listening, no, I want to be this. Or I want to be that. So the only way to get there, however, is to keep writing and moving stuff around and then finding all the wrong stuff. And you move that out of the way and then you find the right stuff. At least that's how I do it. I am so fortunate to have worked with Lyric Fest. They are amazing artists. Laura Ward is such a great pianist and a great accompanist. And Suzanne Duplantis is such an amazing mezzo-soprano and such a beautiful person. They both are.
Through Kyle, I met a bunch of other Philadelphia-based composers. They all love him. The Philadelphia composers community, a thriving group.
There's quite a few of us, and there's the American Composers Forum, the chapter of Philadelphia.
Is Kyle kind of the king?
Well, you know, Kyle always helps other composers through the radio. You know, he always gives every composer a voice because he will play them in the radio. Yeah.
Has he played your stuff on the radio?
Yeah, he has, definitely, yeah. But, you know, it's not only me, he does to anybody. A good composer he thinks is worthwhile, he will put on.
Your composer friends, would you recommend them trying to get the composer-in-residence gig?
No, I want to do it for the rest of my life. I don't want any other composers to have it. I want it all mine, all mine. No, but it's fantastic. you know, writing songs, it's a special kind of thing. And in some ways, it's the hardest kind of composing that there is, because it's just a voice and it's just a piano, and that's it. There's no place to hide.
The more I hear it, the more I love Kile's music. And since I can't get it out of my head, I'm going to end this movie where I started, with Kile's beautiful choral work from I'll Make Me a World.
The project with Singing City that Lyric Fest did, and for which I wrote The Heavens Declare, is a piece for 3 soloists, piano and choir, Singing City. Worked out really well. And Jeffrey Brillhart was wonderful to work with, and turned around and conducted the audience, and it was really a fantastic time.
Laura and Suzanne are currently working on Lyric Fest's next season. I can hardly wait.